Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another reaction. Today we have one requested by Thracian in my executive producer queue, and it's from Bravely Default. Now, this is weird because I know Bravely Default, even though I did have a note on this one from Thracian saying it's a 20 teens RPG, and it's like, okay, sure, I knew that. Also, the side note that apparently Thracian has a problem because all he requests is JRPG and RPG songs, but that's perfectly fine. Either way though, this falls in that weird subsect of games that I've heard about, I've heard things about, I've never seen any media from it. I don't think I've seen a trailer for this game. I don't think I've seen any gameplay or any character designs even. So I really got nothing to go on with this one, but I'm aware of the property. That's why it's in that weird area. But of course I wouldn't know what the sound is like in this game either as a result. So I'm going to be jumping in completely blind. And I guess without further ado, let's go. Okay. Wait a minute, why does it sound familiar? Yeah, something about this sounds really familiar. Have I heard this before? This sounds super familiar. Now it's weirding me out. It sounds like Attack on Titan, that's what it is. Alright. Won't find me complaining. It sounds a lot like some of their intros. Ooh, that double pedal, Jesus Christ. Flight of the bumblebees on that guitar part. Jesus. Yeah, I'm vibing with this. I've always loved this sort of like gothic metal with orchestration and like the choir, you know? It's such a cool blend. It's basically impossible to not make this sound intense, you know? Ooh, okay. Bunch of triplets to separate it there. I love this shredding part. It's stupid in the best way. Woo! Okay. Okay, where are we going now? Okay. Oh, now we're back into it. That was a jarring switch up there. Oh, it's prog. Okay. Yeah, go for it. Like, even that guitar solo sounded like Attack on Titan. That sounded like very similar to like Sasageyo's guitar sound. What the hell? I love this gallop feel. It's perfect. Ooh. Let it breathe. Ooh, there's some Octobans in there? Like, that might have been some Octoban play. That's not common. Hello, Dark Carnival. God, they're really going through everything, aren't they? Keyboardist and guitarist having a little bit of a battle. Woo! And now it's folk. Yeah, like this is just straight up folk music. Now it's just like Irish Gaelic. What is this song, dude? A little bit of Spanish, why not? Yeah, throw it in there. Throw it in the castanets, why not? It's just so fun. It moves so much. It doesn't let you settle down at all. Woo! Ooh. God. The amount of shifting genres and speed is ungodly. Big finish. Keep it going. A little bit more, a little bit more. There we are. Nope. Ah, little sneaky bitches there having something at the end. Damn, that was a blast. And I'm also very confused, but in all the good ways, all the best ways. So I couldn't have written that better if I tried. Not the song. The fact that I was like, let me look up who made this brilliant masterwork of composition to find out that the person who composed it is Linked Horizon. The same guy, Revo, the same guy who composed all of those intros. There was something about it, the way it sounded, that just felt so familiar, like I've been listening to it for years. And I was like, oh yeah, it's that Attack on Titan vibe, you know, like you could just feel some of the similarities in this song, especially in the metal parts. And it's like, okay, yeah, now it all makes sense. But also, how the hell did I manage to figure that out just by hearing it? I think I've been doing this for too long. I think that's what it is. I've been doing this for 2 years plus now. I think I've heard too much music at this point, which I would never usually say, but at the point where I'm starting to be able to draw lines between games and properties of anime that I never would have assumed were linked in any way, shape, or form, here we are. I mean, again, it makes sense now that I've heard it, now that I've seen who the composer was. It's just kind of ridiculous to me that that's what stood out, was like that guitar tone and the way that it was like, the way it was phrased. I mean, like you could feel it in just specifically how he was writing the guitar solos and like a lot of the chords being used as well. Very Attack on Titan. That's just something I know better as a property than obviously I would Bravely Default. So I didn't know, but like here we are, me realizing that the world is smaller than I ever thought, and it gets smaller every day. But also, just to take specifically things about the song, this was brilliant in multiple ways. I have never heard anything else this composer has done aside from the Attack on Titan stuff, and those were all intros to my knowledge. I don't think that he ever really did anything with the actual like scoring of it. I thought that was mostly Hiroyuki Sawano. So like I thought that that's what that was, but like what the fact that he was able to pull out like folk music and make it sound brilliant, but also the fact that he was able to make it feel genuine and had an authenticity to it. Like, he wasn't just mimicking everything that he'd heard before. It felt like an original composition, not just throwing in something that he had heard at some point or like looked up and was like, I'm going to copy that melody. It felt original, which is so rare for this sort of sound, because it's either you can really tell that they're leaning into existing classical and folk pieces when they decide to add those in, or it is original, and you can kind of feel that. And this one just felt so original to me, and just like the inclusion of it in general was a really nice touch, because you had completely different genres just being thrown around, juggled, you know, like a clown at a circus. Every single thing was being added in here, and they were doing little changes that would bridge these together that felt so seamless, that frankly should not work for how aggressive some of these changes were. Like that one spot where the folk came in and everything else kind of cut out and it like feathered it into there, but just having an impact. And it's just, by the time you came out of it, you're like, whoa, I'm in like a different world. It's like walking through a portal. And like, it sounded so immense. Like the world felt huge. Like I was being brought through a tour of this world and this universe that the game takes place in, and being able to experience all of the musical references that were being brought. Like every single time I heard something new in this song, it felt like a different motif to something else. And I don't know when this song plays. I don't know if it's supposed to be like the big final battle, which it does kind of feel like a giant boss fight, so maybe it is, where it almost takes those inspirations from other motifs in the game and it just piles them all into one song. And that's what they did here. That feels like it might be the case, because every single song again was so individual and so original. But the way that this guy blended between each one of them was just breathtakingly smooth. Like, again, in genres that largely wouldn't or shouldn't fit together in most cases, they made it work. And I've heard that done a few times before, including Hiroyuki Sawano's work, being able to blend between these different phrasings and the way that the music feels and keeping that alive and active. Like the whole song feels like one thought, but it also feels like an ADHD thought where like there's constantly something new information popping in, and you're like, oh, I've got to visit that real quick before I get back to the original. And by the time you remember to get back to the original, you can remember what the original was. In this song, though, when we got back to the original at the end, it was just like coming home. You know, it felt like everything was, you know, wrapped up in a nice little bow. And then having that big finish felt so good. Then the cheeky ending, how dare you? But also, it felt so good. I think that cheeky ending is probably there for a good purpose too, whatever it may be. Or the composer was just like, you know what, I want to do a little cheeky ending. Sometimes you just got to do a cheeky ending. So I don't know. But I could also see it being like that one surprise final moment that the boss has, like, and I'm not that, oh, I'm dead, yeah. Oh man, what a blast. I mean, I haven't stopped smiling. It's just so much fun to listen to. It has a little bit of everything for everyone, and I think that's why it's so enjoyable. I mean, I like everything. So like when you get down to like the genres and being picky about that sort of thing, I'm not. And when I hear a song that includes a bunch of them, I'm usually very wary, because a lot of the time they don't blend them as well as this one did. This one did it so well that aside from the general shock of these changes at times, it still felt strangely normal. You know, like it didn't feel like it didn't belong at any point. It really did feel super nice by the time it like locked in and like sunk its teeth into itself. It was like, oh yeah, okay, this is where we are now. And it allows you to accept that new sound a lot easier. And I feel like a lot of people who try to do that literally just try to do that. This is a lightning in a bottle sort of composition. Doing this is something that not every composer can pull off, and frankly, most of them shouldn't try. Okay, well, maybe try, but if you can actually do it, then you can do it, you know? But I feel like a lot of people just don't know what makes each individual section of a song work, when to make those decisions, when to make those changes, how to let that information float between each idea, and like when those connections are is so important, because if you get those wrong, the song will sound comparatively clunky and you just won't know why that happens. You have to be good enough at your job to notice when and how to make these transitions and utilize things like these chord progressions that blend into each other. And also, for again, that example of that one folk spot, knowing when to stop and then introduce something new, because the song did stop and it did reintroduce the stuff we had heard before the stop, but that stop allowed us to kind of reset a little bit mentally. And when we were confronted with a new sound and a new genre, it was a completely different tone. And then when they tied it back with like the drums coming back in, and it once again felt much like what we had before, it brought everything back together. It was a nice little glue there. So just again, compositional awareness, knowing when to handle stuff and when to not handle stuff. If they had gone straight from metal into that folk piece, I don't think that that would have worked nearly as well. I think that if that stop was really what saved that moment from becoming something that felt awkward and forced compared to, oh, here we go, and now we're here. You may continue. It's a very, 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 very thin razor's edge to walk on when you're doing these sorts of transitions. You need to be careful. And again, you can try it if you want to, but don't put something out if you aren't a good composer, if you aren't like years deep in knowing how music theory works. Don't put it out there, because somebody will be like, yep, you fucked up. Learn what you're doing first. Feel more comfortable in your compositional awareness. Know how the song is inside and out. Obviously, if you're working on a song, you would. And just be ready for those transitions. And again, know when to stop and know when to not do those transitions. Not every song needs these sorts of transitions. Sometimes they do. This one probably needed it for whatever purpose that it served in the game. But I feel like so many people would hear something like this and go, oh, I'm doing that now. It's like, no, you don't need to. There is a time and place for everything, and you need to know when and where and how to make all of that work. All of those stars need to align before you try to do something like this. And I'm really glad that this song did it well, because I was concerned there for a split second, but then I was like, oh wait, no, that was super smooth. Like once it clicked. So that's what I'm sitting with. This one is just a masterwork of composition and knowing how to handle those transitions at those times. And I've been talking for far too long, so I'm going to call it here. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to request something else, by all means, drop it in the comments below, and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if, like Thracian did for this one, you want to guarantee that I listen to something, you can always go to my Patreon or my YouTube memberships. There's a tier on there that'll force me to do so. It doesn't matter what it is, who it's by, if it's good or bad, none of that matters. That's why it's a guarantee. But if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!